I hear who's whacked me with a baseball bat.
Like, from behind or something?
Yeah, from behind, just like whacked in the back of the leg. And I knew straight away, this is going to be a bit of an issue. Why now? Like, why me? All the thoughts that, you kind of, go through your head.
Did that really give you a feel of how big a club Aston Villa are?
Martin O'Neill was the manager at the time. He sat like in a chair, kind of head down. He's had a scarf wrapped around his face so you can only really see his eyes. He's got a little cap on. He's got his coat on. He's gone in with like full disguise. And I'm thinking, this is way bigger than just a football club.
When Messi comes to town, is every stadium a sellout?
The American football stadiums, or even the teams that play in soccer-specific stadiums, will sometimes then move and play a bigger stadium. Yeah, to play in a bigger ground so they can maximize the revenue.
But obviously from the 27-28 season,
correct,
the seasons align with Europe.
Correct.
How's that going to change things?
That's going to be a positive. What I hope for is more, in terms of the ability to spend money.
What I would love to see the Premier League start doing is... Brad Guzan. Welcome to the Fozcast, mate. We always do an icebreaker before we get into it. 3 players you've played with that if it was to kick off in a bar, they'd have your back. Who are you picking? Hold on, sorry. I need to caveat this as well. So Tom, before the podcast started, said to me, he said, listen, I think I can guess all 3 that Brad's going to pick.
I'll take a good stab.
And I went, okay, I don't believe you. I said, write them down in my notes.
Got it.
And when you say your answers in a minute, I'm going to swipe into the notes and I'll see how close you were.
Got it. All 3. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here, guys. Thanks for having me. All 3 former Villa players. Are you off to a good start?
I've got 2.
Okay. So you're -1. The first, Big John Carew.
I definitely didn't get that. The Rocket Lounge's favourite, John Carew.
Well, he had this. Somebody said this the other day, didn't they? Who was this?
They did say it the other day.
Somebody said this the other day.
Someone said John Carew.
We'll have a think about it, yeah.
Absolute beast. And then I'm going to go with Richard Dunn.
Yeah, I had him.
That's a good one. Very good.
And I'm going to go with his partner in crime, James Collins.
Oh, it's a good little trio. That'll be a handy little trio.
A handful, that is.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, so
how many did you have?
Hold on, wait, let me know.
Okay, yeah, Ben's pulling it up.
So he's gone for Micah Richards.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Then he's gone for Clint Dempsey.
I like it.
And then he's done Richard Dunn. In fairness, I'll give you Richard Dunn.
And I was close between Clint Dempsey or I was going to say James Collins.
Yeah. No, fair enough.
Yeah, it's a good little trio.
Clint, you don't know what you're getting with Clint. Clint, you don't know where I'm from, dog.
You don't know where I'm from, dog.
That was so famous, isn't it?
I know. It was great. But yeah, and then Mika, absolute beast as well. So,
but is Mika one of these that's like...
Is he big for nothing?
I don't want him to come for me now, but is he like gym strong?
No.
Or is he like strong?
No, he's
an animal.
He's full stop.
Yeah.
Strong. He is what he is.
He's getting old of you. And
the smile and the laugh, that is, that's real, but he's got that switch.
I remember he broke into the England scene, burst onto the scene. He burst onto the England scene, right? And I was in the first squad he ever got into, and we were away at, one of these like smaller nations somewhere, tiny little changing room, and I remember watching him get changed, and I looked at him take his top off, right? And I just thought, that's just not normal. Like, no, that is not normal. He would have been 18, 19 at the time. Like shredded wheat, lumpy.
Muscles on muscles.
Muscles on muscles. It was phenomenal. It really was. Yeah, phenomenal. Right, why are we here today? So we are in Atlanta. We are on the set of your lovely podcast, by the way, the Guzan Show. I've just done an episode for you. Fantastic
we'll link it below
episode.
because it was class.
It was very, very good.
Amazing.
We're in Atlanta. We're shooting a video where we're trying to highlight what Atlanta is as a city, what football fans, when they come to the World Cup in the summer, can expect from this beautiful city. And we've had a fantastic time, haven't we, so far, Brad?
No, it's been amazing. Having you guys spending the day at the stadium the other day,
yeah.
Going on the roof.
What a stadium, by the way.
Yeah.
What a stadium.
Unreal.
The Mercedes-Benz Stadium, Atlanta, 75,000 all-seater stadium. It is, I'm going to say, probably top 3 Premier League. If it was, it's right up there.
Yeah. No, definitely.
It is phenomenal, isn't it?
Like we went in the changing rooms. And bear in mind, you've got a changing room for the football team, and then there's a changing room for the other football team, the NFL team.
On the opposite side of the stadium, though.
Unbelievable.
It is, honestly, it is ridiculous. Like I say, 75,000 seat. They've got the roof closed at this moment in time. We had a little walk around everywhere, didn't we? We went up onto the roof as well, Brad. It was phenomenal.
I mean,
That's your first time, right?
It was. First time on a roof. Yeah. I mean, it was, they don't let anyone up there. And for you to go up there with a bike, I mean, tremendous. Tremendous. The first man in the history of the stadium to be up there with a bike.
I mean, it was scary. The camera, do you notice the cameraman, by the way? One of the cameramen.
Nervous.
Go on.
Oh, he could barely even walk.
Petrified.
He was like this. I was like, mate, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, fine.
Don't look down. Don't look
To
down.
be fair, it weren't too bad up there. It wasn't too windy, was it?
You're right. If it was, I think there would be a few more nerves. Yeah.
It was a good old slog getting up there, though. I know
have been
that for
great.
sure.
This episode of Fozcast is presented to you by Snickers. When VAR flashes up on the big screen, you know what's coming. Everyone groaning, shouting, maybe losing their cool. That's when you remember you're not you when you're hungry. Meltdown? Nah. It's just a sign. It's a sign for Snickers. So next time the referee runs over to consult the screen, keep your cool, keep your wit, you're off your game, and when you're hungry, it's a sign for Snickers. Visit snickers.co.uk to learn more.
So you joined, when did you join Atlanta? 35 years old?
Yeah, 2017.
2017.
Yeah. However old that was.
Yeah, I think it was about 35. When you left England then, was this an easy decision? Because you could see the vision of what the club was trying to do?
No, to be honest, no. I was, at the time, I needed to figure out, I was at Middlesbrough, wasn't playing, had to figure out, hey, the World Cup's around the corner. I need to be playing. Wasn't going to be playing at Middlesbrough. And then I needed to figure out what the next move was going to be. And then Major League Soccer was obviously an option. And being from Chicago, thinking, okay, am I going to be able to work my way back to Chicago? They weren't great the year prior, and that put them at the top of the allocation order for returning, internationals, American internationals. And so I was thinking, oh, this is going to be perfect. I'm going to line up, go to Chicago. That wasn't the case because Atlanta and Minnesota came into the league, so they moved to the top of the list. And Atlanta said, "Hey, would you be willing to come here?" And I said, "Okay, let's do this." And that was kind of how it all unfolded. Had worked out the deal, the agreement with Middlesbrough. I was then in the team because of unforeseen circumstances with other players and managerial departures and whatnot. We then went down, but the deal was in place that as soon as the season finished, I was on a plane coming here. And so I joined in the summer of 17. And yeah, it was, I don't think anybody had the expectation to see what Atlanta, football, soccer could be in the city. Even outside our owner, Arthur Blank, he created this not knowing what the following was going to be. And then to see it take off the way it has, the support from the city, the support from the fans has been unbelievable.
That's some leap of faith, by the way. Just going to build a football club, right? And we're just going to see how it goes. We think they might like football or soccer, as you call it. We're just going to give it a go. It's fine.
And a big old stadium as well.
It's a big old stadium.
But you won the MLS Cup in,
18.
when was that? 18?
18. So year one, we ended up getting knocked out of the playoffs on penalties. Had a good team. Scored a bunch of goals, but we were missing that little bit of extra that you need within a team, right? And fast forward to 2018, we were by far the best team. We were in line for the Supporters Shield. We played Toronto away last game of the season. I think we needed a draw or a win, and we would win the Supporters Shield. We ended up getting thumped 3-0, and we had a chat afterwards going into the playoffs, thinking, boys, we know we're the best team that plays football, but if we're not willing to roll our sleeves up a little bit and get dirty and fight and compete, the playoffs are a whole nother thing here. Yeah. And so we did that. We didn't play much football in the playoffs, but we ended up winning the MLS Cup.
If you sort of fast forward to today then, with hindsight, good decision?
Great decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, great decision. I mean, when I was leaving England, my agent at the time was saying, stay. You've got more time here. And, we've got 4 kids now. Our 2 oldest were both born in London. It was a matter of being a little bit closer to family, a little bit closer to home. But, it wasn't always about the money. And I could have stayed and bounced around different teams, but that's not what I wanted. I wanted this ability to be a part of something, and Atlanta was that. And not only, for the end of my playing career, but also ultimately like transitioning into what's next. And
but you've had a
then I've
mad
been
career,
able to do that.
though, haven't you? Like, am I right in saying you got the most appearances for Atlanta?
I believe so.
Yeah.
But I don't know so, but I think so.
Yeah.
I've been here the longest, so we'll go with it.
You've played in a World Cup, CONCACAF Gold, you've played in the Premier League, you've won the MLS Cup, played in the Olympics.
Yeah.
It's not bad, that.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, we were chatting
Need
yesterday.
a few more wins, though, but yeah.
Yeah, but still, like it was amazing because we were chatting yesterday, and because I said to you, just like casual, I was like, "How many years were you in England?" And in my head, I had like 5 or 6, but you were like 9 years in the UK, weren't you?
Yeah. Yeah,
So good old stint.
No, and listen, it wasn't always me playing, and you have to bide your time, and you have to, I was saying to Ben, when as an American you go over there, you're an American, and it's like, what do we know about football? What do we know about soccer? So you've got to earn that right to kind of be, earn the respect of your teammates, of the staff, even if the staff are the ones that brought you, right? You've got to go and prove it, and so that wasn't always easy, but if you have this mentality of believing in yourself, you have this mentality of saying, hey, I'm going to continue to fight for what I want, and you're going to put the work in and train in and push yourself, more times than not, I feel like good things will happen.
It surprises me you say that, right? Because we've had some unbelievable American players come over to the Premier League, by the way, especially goalkeepers, right? The goalkeepers we've had are there, like, think about yourself, Tim Howard, Brad Friedel, Casey Keller.
Been on the podcast.
It's almost like we
need Casey now, don't we?
Yeah, we need Casey Keller.
Marcus Hanneman.
Like real rich history of good goal. Even if you think of some of the outfield players that we've had as well. So Clint Dempsey, Brian McBride. Oh my God, how much of a player was Brian McBride, by the way? He was horrible, wasn't he? So it does surprise me to say that, because I remember anytime we would come up against one of these Americans that I've just mentioned, I always thought, good, solid. I know I can rely on them. I know I can depend on them. That's what you are, aren't you?
No, I think so, and I think that's a bit of the blue collar of willingness to work hard, willingness to buy into this team concept, and I think as an American, like I said, you've got to go over and earn the respect, and you've got to prove yourself, because you're going into the best league in the world, into these massive clubs that have the ability to buy players from all over the world. So now you've been given this opportunity. You've been entrusted with the potential of stepping on the pitch and playing. You've got to carry that on.
Will you do that? Do you honestly? Are you like representing America when you come over?
I mean, I think you a little bit for sure. Like similar to what you guys are now, right? You're representing the UK. You're carrying that flag, if you will, and as a player, and you're going over there, you're saying, you want to try and pave the way for future.
Everyone from the production team is just, honestly, all we've heard for the last 3 days is, hello, mate.
Hello, mate.
How are you? Like this faux British accent.
Oh, you bugger.
Yeah. All right, mate. Cup of tea.
I've got a funny story about Marcus Hanneman quickly. Shane Long told me this once. He said when I was at Reading with Marcus, he said we'd go out for training, say training would start at 10:30 or whatever. He said Marcus would never dive until 11 o'clock, right? He just wouldn't. He was like, no, my body can't take that much diving, so I'm not diving for the first half an hour, right? He said, and sometimes we'd just go straight into a shooting session. He said, and Marcus is not diving. And like, one would go just over his head or just over his shoulder, and all you'd hear him say is, over me. Over me. And he would just be stood there, over me, and goal. But I ain't diving, mate. I ain't diving.
Why?
Body wasn't ready.
His body weren't ready. His body's getting a bit too old, and he was a big lad. Marcus was a big boy, weren't he? What's Marcus doing now, by the way?
I would bet hunting and fishing somewhere in the state of Washington.
Yeah.
When you're up in Seattle, go check him out.
I remember he kept an incredible run of clean sheets for Reading at some point, right?
Yeah.
And he put it down to that little, remember that little tuft of beard?
London strip.
Isn't it weird how stuff pop in your head? I didn't think about it sooner, but he had this weird little tickler. and he refused to cut it until he let a goal in or they lost or something, and it lasted like 20 matches or something.
Hey, this is a family show, but enough of that shit.
Marcus,
I've got to ask you, when you came over, so obviously the system's different here. You'd have like played college football, but when you came over to the UK, were you surprised with the culture, like the British football culture?
I wasn't surprised, and to be honest, I was excited by it, because I was like, this is fantastic. In terms of the support, the fandom, all the things that go into supporting your club, and the passion that fans have for their club and their team. I was like, I'm here for it. And so I wasn't surprised. I was excited by just throwing myself into it and saying, let's experience it. And then things went south, and then it was like, whew, this is a bit heated. This is brutal. This is a bit much.
British fans are the best and the worst.
Yeah, they really are, aren't they? They're very different to American fans, aren't they?
Yeah.
I always get the impression when I come out here or when I watch sort of any kind of MLS that they actually quite like goalkeepers.
Yeah.
They're fond of goalkeepers. Where back home, oh my God, no chance on this earth. They cannot wait for you to mess up so they can jump on and pile on and absolutely ruin
It
you.
keeps coming.
So we did the podcast. You did the podcast earlier on for Brad, and you asked why the Wolves fans were on Ben's back for 90 minutes, right? He left a little bit out of that. He left a little bit out that when West Brom beat Wolves...
No, it was Watford.
What?
No, sorry, you're
it was
right.
West
I
Brom
apologise.
in that derby, and West Brom pop Wolves. Mick McCarthy gets the sack after the game.
5-1 to West Brom.
Ben may have put out a tweet.
Right.
Yeah, it was, you know.
Yeah.
So just poking the bear.
Yeah.
Just poking the bear a little
Harmless
bit.
banter. It was harmless banter. But in fairness, they got their payback on me, right? So we're all quits now, yeah?
Yeah, fair enough.
We're all
of course.
quits.
Right, I want to talk about longevity. So you get, we spoke about it before, Ben nearly coming out to Atlanta when you picked up your Achilles injury, but you pick up an ruptured Achilles.
Yeah.
At 30.
Mate.
Smashed. It was.
Tell me about that injury, right? Because we've both had a fair share of injuries. I've never done a ruptured Achilles, and apparently it is horrific.
And you're 38?
Yeah, 30, yeah, 37, 38. Yeah, 38, I think. Yeah. But I remember, I mean, we're on the pitch. We're playing in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Ball over the top. I go then to go take a step to try and, clean up this through ball outside the box. And before I even get my first foot down to step, right, I feel, I hear it. I hear and I turn around mid step as if to say, like, who's gotten onto the pitch? Who's whacked me with a baseball bat?
Like, what, from behind or something?
Yeah, from behind, just like whacked in the back of the leg. And so I'm turning around like this, and nobody's on the pitch, and I'm thinking, ooh. And I knew straight away. The center half is he's yelling at me, hey, get the ball, get up and get the ball. And I'm thinking, I've done my Achilles, 70,000. I've done my Achilles. You got to get the ball, So he carries on sprinting, gets the ball goes out of play. Ref stops the game. Comes over, he's like, what's up with you? And I'm like, I've done my Achilles. And it didn't hurt. It hurt for maybe 10 seconds. But I couldn't walk on it. I knew I was more disappointed and frustrated with I'd never had a long-term injury, and I knew straight away this is going to be a bit of an issue. And so then, the physios come on. They're like, oh, what? I was like, I've done my Achilles. They're like, oh, let me look. I said, I've done my Achilles. I said, I don't need you to look at it. I've done my Achilles. I can't stand up. I can't walk. I've done my Achilles. I said, okay. So they call the stretcher, they put me on the stretcher. Now my thoughts are, oh, please don't drop me here. Don't drop me here in front of 70,000. It's going to be all over the TV. And so they get me into the medical room, and I'm on the bed, and I'm thinking, oh, this, why now? Like, why me? All the thoughts that, you kind of, go through your head. And so for about 30 minutes, I was like, feeling sorry for myself, all that. I called my wife, and she was in the stands with the kids. She's like, oh, do you want me to come down? I'm like, no, like, it's all good. And after 30 minutes, I remember thinking to myself, this is, right now is the day one of recovery. Yeah. What do I have to do? Do I need to ice this thing to have the operation tomorrow? Easter was the next day. So it was a Saturday night. Sunday was Easter. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to go get a scan. They're going to confirm we're going to have surgery tomorrow. They're like, we can't have surgery tomorrow. I said, okay. But that was my thought process because I didn't want this injury to be the defining moment of how my career ended.
To finish it.
Yeah. So I was like, no, this isn't going to be it. So I don't care about contract status. I don't care about this. I'm going to play again at some point because I'm not going to allow this to define how my career ends.
What's that operation like? Because you're in a boot for a while, aren't you? It's
Yeah.
sort of suspended at a certain angle,
Yeah.
and you've got to keep it like that. That can't be pleasant, right?
No, I mean, you look at my scar now. It looks. I joke with the surgeon all the time that he had a few pints before he went in because the scar's a bit like this, and like he showed me pictures from the inside, and it was just like two ends of a string just completely shredded,
Frayed.
Yeah, and
frayed
it's just
off, yeah.
like so. Basically, he says, "Oh, just pull it back together, just wrap it, a bunch of times with the string." And I'm thinking, "Oh, that sounds simple enough." And so then you're in this boot for X amount of months, a bunch of weeks, and you can't really walk on it. You're on crutches. You're on a scooter. And yeah, it's miserable. And then you're like, how am I going to be able to jump? How, you have to get all this power and strength back. And yeah, it's a big gorilla.
Sorry.
Do you know what I think the biggest part of a big long-term injury like that is it's getting the confidence back in it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you've been waylaid in the gym, you're in a boot, you can't move, you're stiff as a board. And you always think, I always just think anyway, like, there's no way I'm going to get to the point where I'm diving and pushing off and trusting this and not even thinking about it. It's like, it doesn't even seem a possibility. It's not realistic. But then a day goes, weeks go by, months go by, and you're like, actually, you know what? And then that first time out on the grass, and you're just a gentle, and then a little bit more. But it's all in your head, isn't it? The confidence part of it is so scary, isn't it, to get going again?
It's massive. I remember the first time they told me to do a single leg jump on a box that was about that high off the ground. I'm thinking, I can't do it.
Nope.
I can't do it. I could barely jump to get a piece of paper under my foot. And I'm thinking, there's no way. This is like Mount Rushmore, you know, like you got to be joking. And like you said, you know, day one, it's like, okay, I've done it once. Day two, do it 2 times. You know what I mean? You just keep adding to it. You get stronger. Then you go out onto the pitch and you're like, now I need a cut and I need to explode. And I got to jump up and, you know, all these things that you're doubting if your body's going to be able to hold up. And then once it happens once, happens twice, then eventually it leaves your mind and you start just going back to just playing.
So at that time, when you got injured and Ben
was coming,
fairly close to coming, would you have been like privy to that conversation with the club? Would the club have said, listen, Brad, what's going to happen is this, we're looking at players? Is that a conversation that you were like privy to?
Yeah, I mean, they didn't use names, but they were like, listen, we're going to need to bring someone. And me being, you know, who I am, of course, I can't play. And, you know, we need someone to play in goal. You know, we got to figure that part out. And so I'm not naive to, you know, I know how this business works and how, you know, injuries happen, players come in, you know, but again, my concern was, well, what do I have to do to get back out there and listen, maybe it wasn't going to be here. Maybe it was going to be somewhere else, but I didn't want that injury to define how my career was going to end. And so I was like, yeah, okay, you know, no problem. Whoever that is, not a problem, come in. Wasn't Ben, was someone else, and should have been Ben because, you know, we had a bit of a rough patch afterwards. And,
I half wish I did, honestly. Now, now I've come to see it. I've never had any regrets, honestly. I really haven't for my football career. Everything that happens is for a reason. But when you walk around that stadium, you're walking around this city. But like I said, I've only been here for 2 days, but it is a thing of beauty. No. What a place!
The barbecue food,
the barbecue food, grits, mate. We walked around the stadium yesterday, and I think what America does so much better than England is the hospitality side of it, how much they make it an event a day. So in England, you're not allowed to sit there with a pint and watch a game of football, which still boggles my head because you can go to the rugby, you can go to any of the sports and you're allowed to drink and have a nice time and take it in. Not football because they're sickos and they'll get carried away and they'll spoil it, right? Whereas here, oh my God, everything is made.
Pints everywhere.
You got a little app on your phone. You can order some more beers. You can order some like food, popcorn, hot dogs.
And the cans of beer are bigger than our heads.
Mate,
We've got big heads.
I'd be going to the toilet. I'd miss the game. I swear they are so big. The pints, how much are they? Are they literal pint cans?
No, they're bigger.
Oh my God. It's so good, isn't it?
Pints.
It's so good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you think we'd ever get to that in England? Do you think we'll ever get to the point where we change the rules and you're able to watch the game with a pint in your hand?
Fans are sickos and I love it.
But why not? Because they're just down in a pint in the concourse. They're down in the pint in the concourse, and then they're walking down to the seat. So it's like, if you're throwing a plastic cup, that, you know, it's one thing if it's a glass or, you know, maybe a can or something, but, you know, a plastic cup, surely that's not going to cause...
It's exactly what happens, right? Isn't it? You get to the you order a load of beers. By the time you've queued up and by the time you actually got your pint, you've got about 3 minutes left until the game kicks off again. So you are just nailing a pint of beer, hits your head, and you're like, whoa, this is unreal.
Let's go.
But you can do it at the lower league games as well, can't you?
Yeah, you can.
So like we go and watch our local teams, like Leamington Racing Club Warwick, and you can...
Take your pint out,
you can
chill.
Have a beer.
I know.
Yeah. So
football fans, eh?
I'll tell you what made me smile yesterday when we were chatting. Obviously, 9 years, you know, playing for Villa. I said, like, where are you living at the time? And I was thinking you're going to say like Sutton Coldfield, and you're like, yeah, like in the mailbox. I'm like, you're living in the city centre.
In the mailbox.
I mean, you are in the mixer there, aren't you?
Yeah. I mean, listen, I didn't know any better, and so I was like, oh yeah, and I'm looking for an apartment. Okay, great. Here, everything's close. It was fantastic. I only had to drive to and from training and to and from Villa Park, which was probably better for me and for all the other drivers out on the road, because obviously driving on the other side, you know, and my alloys, to be honest. So, you know, it was one of those where I was like, yeah, this is great. And then it wasn't great when things started to go a bit sour, and
Because you're right in it.
Results weren't great.
Yeah.
You're thinking, "Ooh, I can't really get out here. I'm going to be staying in the apartment tonight."
Did you get a feel? Did that really give you a feel of how big a club Aston Villa are?
Yeah, massive.
Because I think there's teams. I think a lot of the southern teams, your big Manchester clubs, and they kind of get overlooked a little bit. But it's a monster
Villa
club,
are
isn't it?
massive.
Massive
It was-
monster club. And if you're losing week after week and you get relegated, which you were part of at that time, it's not a nice place to be, is it?
No, not at all. I remember when I was going to sign at Celtic in January, and then basically kind of told Celtic, hey, listen, Villa, I had to check out this opportunity, and I was like, I'm going to go to Villa. So it was the last day of the window. I fly down to Birmingham. Martin O'Neill was the manager at the time. He picks me up with his assistant, but Martin's not there. His assistant greets me by the baggage claim, this and that, and I was like, I thought the manager was going to be here. He's like, oh, he is. He's over there. And I was like, what do you mean he's over there? And he's sat like in a chair, kind of head down. He's had a scarf wrapped around his face, so you can only really see his eyes. He's got a little cap on. He's got his coat on. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh.
Is this a Birmingham airport?
Yeah. and I'm thinking, what is going on here? So, we walk out, right? And he greets me. He's like, welcome. So nice, so cordial. And I was thinking, okay, like, bit of normalcy here. We get to the car and he's like, sorry about that. If I go in there, without this on, it's going to be carnage. And I'm thinking, yeah, you're damn right, And so he's gone in with like full disguise, and I'm thinking, oh, this is way bigger than just a football club,
do I need to be
I was
part
like,
of this?
okay, it was amazing.
Had you already signed at this point?
No, because then they were going down to London for the work permit tribunal. I get denied, so then I have to go back to LA, back to Chivas USA. For 6 months, and Martin at the time was like, listen, don't worry.
How was that?
Devastated.
How'd you pick yourself back up with that?
I didn't. I was crap.
What's your honest?
But I went back, and then the season started in March. So I had maybe 2-3 months. Was kind of in and out of the team a little bit, but then went to Beijing. This was in 2008. Went to the Summer Olympics in Beijing. And then the club secretary, who I believe is still actually there now, she was like, hey, we're going to be going to the tribunal today, this and that. I said, hey, I'm in Beijing. The time difference is a bit off. I said, but I'll wait for your call. So there I am outside the door at 3 o'clock in the morning, waiting for a call from the club secretary. She calls me. She's like, congratulations, you've been granted a work permit. I was like, let's go, So yeah, it was all smiles after that.
How was Martin O'Neill to work under?
Yeah, unbelievable. His man management and his ability to get the best out of players, especially his guys. His 11, 12, 13 guys, phenomenal. We were talking about it, with certain guys. Hey, I don't care what you do Monday to Friday. And for me, being an American, going into the Premier League, you're thinking a massive club like Villa, training is going to be at this peak level day in and day out. Wasn't at all, actually. It was very much a case of, hey, I don't care what you do Monday to Friday. If you turn up on Saturday and score 2 goals, I'll give you off till Wednesday.
Unreal.
And I was like, oof, okay. And the guys that weren't playing, I was like, I'll see you on Monday.
I remember Gabby telling us.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? He loved it.
I don't think he did do whatever he wanted.
And Gabby was one of the ones that was doing whatever they want Monday to Friday. Absolutely.
Did it involve eating and drinking? Oh, good old Gabby.
I know.
Oh, mate.
This episode is brought to you by Expedia and Las Vegas. Don't have a match ticket? No problem. Because in Vegas, the experience extends far beyond the tournament, turning every match into a celebration. Think can't miss watch parties, big screens by the pool, world-class dining, resorts, and nightlife that carries on long after the final whistle. It's football, but layered into something bigger, something you can build an amazing trip around. The kind you plan with your friends where match day stretches into the whole day and every result, win, draw, or somewhere in between, feels like a moment worth celebrating. So if you're looking to be part of the energy without a seat in the stadium, book a trip today with Expedia and turn tournament season into a Vegas getaway.
Can we do some goalie talk?
Yeah, do it.
So you've obviously been American. You've played with some fantastic American goalkeepers. Who, in your eyes, has stood out the most and been the best that you've either seen to play with and be up close with?
Yeah, I mean, I was fortunate because I got to work with all the guys that we previously mentioned, right? I worked with Casey Keller for a little bit at the end of his career with the national team. Obviously worked with Tim a bunch. Worked with Friedel at Villa day in and day out. And then I worked with Marcus with the national team. And so, I was able to work with all these guys. I think when I look at the goalkeeping side of it, seeing Brad Friedel and his longevity and his consistency in that league, I was able to see why he was so consistent day in and day out, right? How he looked after himself, how he prepared for games, introduced yoga, like all these little things that, back then they weren't a thing and he was doing them. But then for me, being able to compete and, I call him a friend to this day, but Tim Howard, right? Yeah. And, we would compete for that top spot, and seeing what he was doing at Everton, seeing how he then came into the national team, the relationship we developed. I think for me, Tim is someone that was very athletic at a young age, probably didn't know the position to a high standard, but then goes to United, goes to Everton, and you saw him become a world-class goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Yes,
he did.
He understood the position, understood what goalkeeping is, and he was someone that I was able to learn off on a daily basis, when we were together.
I used to watch Brad Friedel and I used to think it's not fair because your arms are so long. like they're dragging on the floor, right? It's just not fair. It's right. Aurelio Gomez was the same.
Yeah.
Honestly, we used to sometimes stand and I'd put my arm out, he'd put his arm out, and his hand was a whole hand past mine. And I'm thinking, that makes it impossible for me to make some of the saves that you can save, right? I have to be better in different ways to be able to compete with you sometimes because it's just not fair, right? It was incredible. Didn't Brad, I'm sure he did something like 9 or 10 seasons without missing a game.
He did.
9 or 10 seasons, Premier League seasons, first choice goalkeeper, available every single match. It is unreal.
It was unbelievable. I made my debut at Anfield. He got sent off. Right, and I'm on the bench. He gets sent off, and he's got the most consecutive Premier League appearances. It ends up being, I think, he finished at 400 and odd something, whatever it was. But he gets sent off, and so I'm thinking, I come on to face a penalty against Steven Gerrard in front of the cop end. We end up losing. The score is 3-0. I think we lose 4 or 5-0. But I'm thinking, made my debut at Anfield in front of the cop end. This is amazing. And I'm going to play the next Premier League game. So the streak's going to end. This is going to be great. I'm going to get a debut, or my debut of starting from the beginning. Red card gets rescinded.
Yeah,
He's back in, and I'm thinking, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me.
10 years.
Yeah. I was like, I'm never going to play. I was like, this is nonsense.
I remember it. They rescinded it, didn't they? Should never have been a red card.
He comes out top of the box. He kind of slides, does his thing. He's got his hands out. Referee, penalty, no VAR. Red card. I was like, absolutely shitting myself, going onto the pitch. I'm thinking, this is going to be a problem here. And then all of a sudden, red card rescinded at the end and I'm thinking, back to the bench.
Love you, Brad, but
Correct.
Should we have a little chat about when you left? So when you left MLS in 2008, Bex had joined in 07, and then Messi joins in 2023, and you came back. When was it? You came back 17.
Yeah.
So from you leaving and then coming back, what were you like? I guess, what were the biggest differences for you?
Yeah, I mean, the popularity, the notoriety of Major League Soccer, of the clubs themselves, right? And I remember when Beckham came in and, the team I played for, Achilles USA, we used the same stadium. Our locker rooms were down the hallway. And so, everything was just magnified, times 10 when Beckham walked through the door. And the games, you had Tom Cruise coming to games, and you had all these A-list celebrities that were in and amongst the stadium, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And then all of a sudden you fast forward to Messi and what he's done for the league and probably elevated it to another level. But the league itself, the amount of teams that have now entered into the mix, the support from owners and the willingness to spend money both on facilities as well as players, the sport itself has certainly now, I think, taken that next step.
Has the general standard gotten higher? Is across the league?
Yes, I would say the standard has gotten better for sure. It still needs to continue to improve. Yeah. Before it was players 1 through 4, right, are great, and then there's a bit of a drop off. Then it's 1 through 6, 1 through 9. Maybe your first 11 are decent enough. Then it's your first 13 players, but you need to get it to a level of Premier League status of hey, your first 25 players, your first team players are all playing for their national teams. They're all competing on the biggest stages.
When Messi comes to town, is every stadium a sellout for every club that they play against, basically?
Yeah, I would think so. Obviously, I don't know exact, but yes. All the American football stadiums, or even the teams that play in soccer-specific stadiums, will sometimes then move and
to
play
a
bigger
really?
stadium. Yeah, to play in a bigger ground so they can maximize the revenue.
Wow.
That's crazy, isn't it? But the Messi move wouldn't have happened without Beckham. Beckham moved the needle. Didn't
Yeah,
he?
he did.
Yeah, for sure.
he
really
did,
For sure.
yeah.
No, definitely. He was the first one that came, and the notoriety, the popularity of MLS, of the players, of the teams. He was the one that he jump started it, and then obviously what he's done as an owner has been
Robbie
phenomenal.
Keane.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mate, he could have still
He
been
went
doing
too
it.
soon.
Yeah. He could have been doing it in the
He went
Premier
too
League
soon.
still. Honestly,
Unbelievable.
not to put the MLS down, but
No, no.
he was still scoring proper
same with
goals.
Jermaine Defoe.
Yeah,
Remember, Robbie Keane came back though, didn't he? He did a couple of loans. I think he went to Villa, didn't he?
Yeah. He was
but
at
that
Villa.
would have only been when the seasons
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah,
broke up.
Yeah,
and that
like
anyway,
a 2
wouldn't it?
months, like
Yeah, for
in the
2
winter,
months.
the winter months.
So the seasons moved from the 2020. So at the moment, you go, what is it, March through December?
Yeah.
But obviously from the 27-28 season,
Correct.
The seasons align with Europe.
Correct.
How's that going to change things?
I think it's going to be good for the league to be on the world football calendar schedule,
Yeah.
right? In terms of buying players, and your main transfer window is going to be summer, and both for Europe and the rest of the world, as well as Major League Soccer, and so that's going to be a positive. But also just the idea of this respect level of, hey, we're on the world schedule. We're playing the world's game, but now our calendar is synced up with the rest of the world, and we're competing just as everyone else is.
Do you think anything else might change as well? Because obviously they did things slightly different with transfers. I know that's becoming more of the norm now, isn't it, with buying and selling players. But with regards to the draft and things like that, that's still so foreign. And to us in Europe, isn't it? It's absolutely crazy how it works.
It is. I think you'll start to see a little bit less of the draft and more, what I hope for is more, in terms of the ability to spend money. And you've got owners that are willing to spend. And, currently we have this ability to have 3 marquee players, but pay them whatever you want. How do we get that from 3 to, say, 5 or 6 or 7? And now you start to increase the salary cap that allows owners that are willing and able to say, yeah, no problem. I want to go and I want to buy the best players, and not just maybe the top 3 in this position, but I want to go and I want to get 3 more and have a full team of marquee players. And for us to then compete with the likes of Liga MX and some of these other teams around North America, I think we need to do that to consistently raise the bar here in Major League Soccer.
It'll change it though, won't it, Ben? Because you think we had Lewis Morgan on the podcast, who was at New York, I think now in San Diego, isn't he? But actually, it's like the American teams and the English teams, like vice versa with the calendar. It's almost like they go shopping on a Sunday afternoon just before the shops close. They haven't got time.
Yeah,
they haven't got time. But the line in the calendars now, I think we're going to see a lot of British players kind of coming over, don't you?
I think
lifestyle thing.
Well, it's starting. It's exactly that. It's starting to pick up a little bit more anyway, isn't it? When we did the podcast with Lewis, he said, "Oh my God, honestly, the quality of life over." He said the football standard is still absolutely top. He said, but the quality of life. He said it was the best decision he's ever made, and I think there's going to be a lot more young players willing to do that kind of thing. It hasn't really been done in years gone by.
Yeah,
English players, even going abroad in general, really was there? But now there's starting to be a bit more of a movement. Players going out to Germany, playing in different countries. MLS is a big
it's
draw
hard
for
contract-wise. It's really hard, isn't it? Too. Well, you saw it yourself. Like you maybe could have done it earlier on in your career, but just the way that your contract runs always became tricky.
Yeah,
an English club don't want to get rid of a goalkeeper in January.
Absolutely zero chance as well. And not only that, once am I right in saying that once those allocated player slots get taken, that's their budget done pretty much for the whole season until it refreshes next year again?
Yeah, I mean, you certainly have the ability to tinker with the roster, but it becomes really challenging and quite difficult because players are allocated an X amount of money when their contract signed, and now if you've not allowed yourself any real space in terms of the cap space, it becomes difficult to try and move things around, knowing, well, we don't have any wiggle room, and it becomes really hard.
Do you know what I would love to see the Premier League start doing?
Go on.
Is publishing how much players earn. That would be
so
that
good.
would be the best move if we could see exactly what these players.
We were chatting in the
earning.
corridor downstairs earlier on, and you said, didn't you? Oh, how much is X player on? And Brad just goes, well, let's just look it up.
Yeah. Oh, what you can just you can just Google it. It's simple as that. Google any
Exactly.
single player, and it's there, isn't it? It's incredible.
Yeah, it
That'd
is.
be amazing.
How many fights would be in the dressing room if that were to happen?
Mate, it'd be so good.
Imagine.
It would be so. But it's like mad because, like I say, the way that it works over here with the salary cap and the allocated players, you've got players that could be earning like 200 grand a week, right?
Yeah.
And then there's somebody sat next to them that might be on $1,000 a week or something like
yeah.
that.
Literally.
Which
No,
is
seriously.
the disparity between it sometimes is outrageous, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so.
Right, a couple more people just want to talk about manager Jurgen Klinsmann. What was he all about?
Listen, he ended up making probably some of the most controversial decisions within U.S. soccer in terms of squads and who he picked, and probably more so who he didn't pick. Obviously, notably leaving Landon Donovan off the 2014 World Cup roster. But he was somebody for me that gave me an opportunity. Came into the national team fold, gave me an opportunity, believed in me, and so we were at a point where you had a bunch of Americans, whether they were German Americans or guys that weren't necessarily born or living here in the United States, I should say, or had played in the United States, and maybe they had an American father, an American mother, born in Germany, born abroad, but still were able to claim citizenship that he was bringing them into the fold. So there were a lot of hot talking points.
Well, yeah, did that not go down well at home? Did it not?
Yeah, but I mean, with some guys, they were like, oh, he's not fully American, and it's, he's this, or he's more concerned about, playing over in Germany or playing in England or wherever it was. And it was like, well, his passport says he's American, so if he's willing to play for the national team,
it's kind of similar to sort of Tuchel, though, isn't it? With England manager, you win and it's fantastic. Everything's forgotten. But the second you start learning, he's German.
Of course.
He's German.
Yeah.
People just automatically want to question the commitment, don't they?
Without doubt, they
That's
do,
what it is, I think.
And I think that's probably what it was with Jurgen at the time, wasn't it?
And I mean, listen, you guys been around the highest, the best athletes, right? And anytime an athlete or a footballer steps on a pitch, they want to win.
They're trying to win.
You know what I mean?
Simple as that.
Regardless of what shirt they're wearing, they want to step on and win.
Gerard Houllier at Villa.
I was not his cup of tea. I was definitely not his cup of tea. I think he, sadly, rest in peace, right? He passed away. Yeah. But yeah, I wasn't his cup of tea. I went on loan, had come back. It's like, I get him a few days off, like not going to be in the plan. So I was like, oh, this is great. But yeah, he,
Just wasn't having
I wasn't his, and so be it. So it was.
Did you never find out why? Did you know what I mean? Did you never sort of get the chance for him to just go like, it's because of this, isn't this?
Honestly, no. It was just, but I think I was the least of his concerns.
Yeah.
In that dressing room, because there were guys in there that were making his life hell on a daily basis. Him and his staff, and it was, I was just kind of, all right, like this is how it goes, and you've got to figure out a way, figure out what path is for you. Other guys, not so much. They were kicking up a storm.
Bradley, you've been incredible today. Thank you so much for allowing us to podcast with you. Got some quick fires to finish. What's your tipple of your choice, your drink of choice? Do you say tipple out here?
No, but I'm going to go with an old fashioned.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Can't go wrong with that.
Love that.
Is there something that bothers you way more than it should? Day-to-day life, football life, anything that bothers you just a little bit more than what it probably should?
No.
You're a cool guy, you are.
Yeah, I don't
You're
think so.
very laid back.
You know what? I think at times when this is going to sound really bad, but it's not road rage. I need to start off by saying it's not road rage when you're driving on the road. But like just people when they're driving and they don't know where they're going or what they're doing, and you're just like, come on.
Hesitation.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean?
It's a big bugbear of mine. That.
It is, and it's just like it sets me off. My missus will always be like, relax, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, what are they doing? They've got no idea where they're going. It's not road rage though.
Okay.
I'm a cool driver.
Who was the one player that you saw in training and thought, wow, this guy?
Yeah, when I first got to Villa, I remember like it was yesterday. Ball gets played basically across the 6-yard box, and I come sprinting across the goal thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to go spread and make myself big. I'm going to make this unbelievable save. Ashley Young just stops the ball dead. I go flying across the goal. He just scoops it up into the goal. He's like, where are you going? And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, this is different level here. This is different level. He was a guy that when I first got to Villa, I was like, yeah, he's a proper player here.
He was unreal at Villa, wasn't he?
Like proper winger, like all the things. But I mean, I was fortunate. That Villa team, when I got there, Gareth Barry, I mean, I classify him as probably the best footballer I've ever played with. You could give him, I was that poor with my feet, the ball would come back to me, I'd just shove it into him anywhere, pass at his kneecap.
Deal with that.
Yeah, he would take it down, turn out of pressure, and I was thinking, that was an unbelievable ball from me.
He was one of those players that had that like just 2 meter radius.
Yeah.
Like, no fly zone. You're not coming near me.
Yeah,
Weren't he?
it was unbelievable. And so, seeing him operate, seeing him play, James Milner.
That Villa team, mate. That Villa team was...
Millie's still going. I mean,
And
unbelievable.
Ashley Young's still going.
I know.
Yeah, he is, isn't he? Ipswich, yeah.
Yeah.
I was with Youngie at Watford when he was a kid.
Yeah.
Skinny little kid, but fantastic
Yeah.
player. Used to score goals for fun. Then got the big move to Villa. And I was like, yeah, mate, that's like, you deserve that.
Yeah.
Well, and then to go again to Manchester United, mate, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
What other, there's going to be another answer to this. I know there is. What other sports are you good at?
Oof. I grew up playing baseball.
Did you?
Yeah. Hand-eye coordination. Everyone asks how American goalkeepers, why are they always so good? I don't know the answer to that, but I think it's certainly got something to do with the multi-sport.
Batter, pitcher?
Both. Yeah, both.
Who's that guy that does them both? Otani.
Ooh. Yeah.
That's what he does, doesn't he? How
Nah,
mad's
he's
that, by the
different
way?
level, by
How
the way.
mad is that?
He's pretty good at
He's
it.
like the best.
Have you seen his contract, by the way?
Oh, hundreds and stupids of millions.
Stupids
Oh
of
my
millions.
God.
Unbelievable. And then has the savviness to defer the payments for like...
What does that mean? I don't understand.
So he's not actually getting paid. The state of California is a complete mess when it comes to taxes, right? And so he's somehow gone around the system. You can Google it. I think his contract is for like $900 million over the course of, call it 8 years, 9 years, 10 years, whatever it is. But he only collects $1 million a year. The rest of the money has deferred the payment until
So he pays
whatever
less
year.
tax on it.
Because then he hasn't technically collected that money, but he's going to collect that money as soon as he leaves the state of California. I bet you that.
How has he managed?
I don't know that.
How does he manage to live on just $1 million a year?
Well,
It's
I think
it's a
you know what I mean?
nightmare.
It's unbelievable. He's slumming it. He's certainly slumming it.
That's your Waitrose shot, mate. I've seen him in action in Waitrose. Honest to
$1
God.
million? Oh my God. And finally, you've won the game on a Saturday afternoon, 1-0, clean sheet, man of the match, penalty save in the last minute.
Guess in.
You're going to get a takeaway that night. What are you getting?
Oof. You know what's made its way over here? Nando's.
That's it.
Nando's made its way over here.
Cheeky Nando's.
Yeah. Or for the sake of all of our viewers here in Atlanta, a Chick-fil-A.
Oh, yeah. I had my
Have
first
you had-
Chick-fil-A this morning.
Did you?
I did. A breakfast Chick-fil-A,
Ooh,
though.
get in.
With
It
the
was really
biscuit.
good.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah,
love
but
it.
what? Those little hash browns, are they called biscuits?
No,
It's
tater
the bun.
tots.
The bun
Tater
thing.
tots.
No, it's not.
So instead
yeah,
of
with
like
the tater
a-
tots, yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of the muffin, you had a biscuit.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. It was just lovely.
He had a southern twang there, Ben.
He's been here 2 days. Listen, you can't spend too much time here. All I hear about is you eating.
Mate, I know.
It's
Mate, it's
gonna
got
be
trouble
you
written
gotta
all
get back
over,
on a
innit?
bike.
I'm sweating now. I'm like seeping out my pores.
Yeah.
It's,
Brilliant.
Bradley,
Class.
Edwin,
Yes.
bam! Bradley, Edwin, Guzan. That's hard to say in one go. Bradley, Edwin, Guzan, up the Fozcast.
Up the
Cheers,
Fozcast.
mate.
Thank you,
Top
mate.
man.
Thanks, everybody, for watching. We hope you enjoyed the latest episode of the Fozcast. Don't forget to give us a follow on Spotify. Up the Fozcast.